Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's having a nice morning. It is Friday. We get that little weekend going. But obviously, for traders, the weekend isn't really the best because we want to be in front of the markets, but we can't. Just to do a little quick recap of what happened overnight, right? Pretty much the overnight session started around right here. We made a nice wow, my throat is gone. Okay. Overall, in the overnight session, we did make a nice little pump up in the beginning. We hit our resistance point, just bounced right back down. And now, since like about 3 a.m., we have been forming that range bound situation where we're not really breaking through like highs or lows, just jumping back and forth. So we have to see what happens at the market open. Let's see how much volume there's there, because usually Fridays, sometimes futures aren't the best days. Usually Fridays are built for options because they expire. You have the high, you can make the highest returns. But back to talking about futures though, Fridays are some funky days, so just got to be careful on the moves. Because when the institutions have big swing plays from like Monday, they like to close them on Friday because they don't like to hold anything over the weekend. So we might see a little sell-off, and there's nothing wrong with the sell-off because again, we have been pumping up for the past couple of days, right? It'll just be like a minor sell-off, nothing crazy. And then just to do a quick recap of what happened yesterday, right after our stream. Yesterday we caught nice moves right here, nice 8 points. Then it took a little dip. It had resistance points perfectly. Took our dip. Then around like what's 1400, about 2 o'clock? Yeah, around 2 o'clock we got another alert. Worked pretty well. It didn't take profit level 3, but still worked out. And then we started seeing the market slow down a little bit because obviously now this is like the market open again, and overnight sessions don't have too much volume. And then it picked up right around here, around let's say, what is 11 o'clock maybe? No, 10, around 10. Yeah. Nine or 10. I forget how to convert this stuff all the time. But around 9 or 10, we had this nice alert. Worked out beautifully. And then, you know, after a big dip, we have to be careful, because if we didn't get a proper pullback, then it just means the market's due for a reversal. And that's exactly what started happening. Just took a nice little sell-off. And then this is our consolidation. That's why in the overnight session, we don't trade the overnight session. One, because there's no volume, and two, because we're asleep. And then morning, we're just waiting it out. Obviously, we got this alert around 750. Again, very low volume, so it's not worth getting into. It did hit our take profit level 1, but that's okay. And then these lines will disappear every time the next alert comes up, because then it will adapt to the next alert and measure the move out there. But for right now, all we're going to be doing is waiting it out today. Same plan as yesterday, just wait it out. We have our resistance points already lined up on the chart. As of right now, even though we have higher lows right here, right? Higher low here. The trend is still strong here to the downside. This is just us becoming range bound, because if we made a higher low and then a higher high, then our trend would be reversing. But that didn't happen in this situation, where it made higher lows but then lower highs. Higher lows and lower highs is an indication of the market becoming range bound, and that's exactly what's happening here. So it'll form that little triangle formation, right? Let's see if I can draw it out for you guys. And then when the market becomes like this, right, makes a perfect little triangle, what we're going to be waiting for is, one, it's going to get closer to and closer to here, and then it's going to break out. But you don't jump in on the play on the breakout. You have to wait till breaks out, pulls back, then you get in. So if you're planning on trading the triangle, that's the best way. For me, I'm going to be waiting for the algo alert. But again, this is still a great way. But you just have to make sure you wait for it to break out, then come back. Sometimes it just breaks out completely and doesn't come back, and that's okay. But then other times, you know, it'll break out, but then it'll just flip to downside again quickly. And we have to notice how cumulative delta has been piling up right here, right? So if we want to continue this push up, we need to break above that cumulative delta. Now we can see how pretty much the delta is flipping, right? It just consolidated up here, couldn't break through. Now it's like starting to come down, but now it's market open right now. We're seeing that little push up. Let's see if that can hold. Our buyers in control. The volume's still pretty much low compared to normal. Look, I'm looking at the dome and just looking at how many orders are there at the moment. But Normally I open, I would see these numbers at the bottom here much higher. Again, bouncing off of that support level. 200 EMA, we have high volume nodes here and here. And that's where we're pretty much range bound, right? NQ about to hit support, sorry, resistance line right up here on the left. So NQ is pretty much trying to push up. We can see that clearly. ES, on the other hand, not doing the same thing, so that's something to be careful about. So ES, we have to see. Right now, I'm not going to be touching anything because they're not in sync. So I have to determine which one is actually leading the way today. NQ is starting to follow. Made that little pump. Now it's starting to come down. Okay. That is a candle I don't like to see at the open. You guys know that. That type of candle at the open, never a good sign. Pretty much just bounced off of the previous pivot low. If it breaks through, we'll see it maybe push down here. Let's see. So again, ES is trying to push down, NQ is trying to push up. I'm not gonna touch it at the moment because, well, I hate it. I like things to be in sync. I like to make sure everything's proper. If not, then I'm not a person that trades those setups. So I need to find out which one wants to lead today because neither of them have shown any confirmation that they want to take charge. I told you guys, Fridays are a funky day for the futures. Let me make sure there's no special news going on. I'm glad, Enzo, that it worked out for you last night. I hope you got in one of the big moves that happened. But yeah, this weekend I will be making a video about how you can use it in the short-term time frames properly. I will show like another simple indicator that you can put on it in the short term, especially when there's lower volume, just to understand what the trend is for it. But yeah, you can combine it with whatever indicators you want to see if that gives you a better performance on it. So typically I wait for 1 tick above. I don't wait 1 point because 1 point's a big move because like you miss half of your move right there. 1 tick is just to avoid those double top situations. So NQ is pushing, okay. But again, it's hitting that resistance level, so let's see what can actually happen. The first 15 minutes, I'm not going to be touching anything. This is just one of those days where you don't want to be in on the first 15 minutes. Especially when NQ is green, ES is red, so. But if it breaks below the point, you just end it? What do you mean by it breaks below the point? He's like, so essentially, right, what I'm doing is, say my order is at 3,500, right? That's where my alert price came in. I would put my order at 3,525 cents. That's 1 tick higher. That way we avoid double top situations and don't get stuck in a false move. Oh, the level it gives you. So yeah, the level it gives you, you just put 1 tick higher than the level, the white line essentially in the algo. And if it doesn't hit that in the next 2 candles in the 5 minutes, next 2 to 3, I'd cancel the position. Because like if I see something else happening, I'm like, if I see that, okay, that momentum's not there. The whole point of the algo is to get in on moves right before they happen and to catch that big move. So if it doesn't have that momentum to support it immediately, I cut the trade because I see better results when I cut the trade right after the first 2 candles. Because if it doesn't hit above, then I cancel it. That's why there's different rules with the 5-minute candles, because you got to be more careful. Because more things happen. 1 hour candles, 1 day candles, they kind of just ride that momentum. Even if they dip throughout the day, they still continue with that momentum. That's why they're okay. But 5-minute candles just require a few more rules, but that's part of trading, right? You gotta adapt. So yeah, at this point, I'm just gonna be waiting probably for a while. Because this is just a weird market. NQ is pushing up, ES is pushing down. They're not in sync at all. Delta's coming back up on the ES, which is interesting. That's something to pay attention to. Harry, what do you mean by that? Do you mean so it breaks above that 1 tick that I require and then it comes right back down? That's when I enter again? Is that what you mean? Yeah, you can definitely do that, but I just specifically just follow the system for the algo, so I just place it at that tick point and I go for it. Because most times what happens is if I try to wait for it to go above and come back down, which does happen sometimes, but then there's other times where it's like, hey, just pushes right through in the next minute, gets me like 4 or 5 points immediately, and it would cut my trade out completely and I'd be done with the profits. But if I was waiting for it to come back down again, it might not happen. That's why I'm okay with just leaving it where it is, because like those other times when it doesn't come back down, I'll still be in the trade and I'll be able to catch that move. So delta right here for the ES, pushing up completely, which is very interesting. NQ on the other hand, now starting to pull down. Super interesting market right now. Yeah guys, I don't like the open today at all. I'm not gonna try to force anything. Because delta is pushing up on both of them, so which indicates that we might continue to the upside, but I would personally just wait to see how price reacts itself. I want to see a couple green candles at least, especially since the NQ is bouncing off of a key resistance level, and then ES might be doing the same thing. It broke through the support level, but it might just pull back up. We'll have to see. And Harry, to lower more risk, right, what you could do essentially is, if you have the dome up, what you could do is look at the orders right around our entry price that our algo gives us, and then see if there's a if we got a buy alert, right? If there's a lot of selling pressure right around where our entry price is, then wait for those sellers to be taken out, the stock to like the ES to pull down a little bit, just like maybe a couple ticks to take them out, and then continue its up. That's when you want to get in. That way you don't get like freaked out if it even like pulls back just a little bit. And that's a nice easy way to lower your risk. So Dome can just help you understand how many orders are piling up, right? So if you see a really good amount of orders, like say 400, 500 right here, and your entry price was right around that 34.91.25, and you saw like there's like 500 orders for the sell order at 34.91.50, then you should be like, hey, there's a lot of sellers stepping in, so we might hit some resistance. So let those sellers be taken out first, because then it'll touch it, pull it down a little bit, and then I'll place my order again right there. That way, when it does break through again, it'll make a clean flush up. The Dome, again, it's just like the order flow theories, right? Just to see how many orders are piling up and see what's happening. But you can't just depend on the Dome. Well, I never have, so I just use it as like another step in the process. Yeah, Delta seems to be coming down. NQ really pushing. That's what I said. I don't like the way it's looking at the moment. Our opening range is the first three candles, right? If it breaks below 34.85, or if it breaks above 34.95. So pretty much exactly 10 points right there. Nice 10-point drop at the open. NQ looks like it's bouncing off of the 200 EMA right there. But again, guys, we've pretty much just been in that range, right? Especially the ES, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And right now, with this opening, like little sell-off, we kind of confirmed our trend to be more to the downside, right? So if we look the overnight, what's happening? Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. We entered that range bound situation, but we didn't really break through that overnight low right here. The minute that overnight low is broken, that's when we might see a full nice little sell-off going on today. It is Friday, so that's very possible. And potentially this support line might not even matter, especially since if we break that overnight low, if we can get that push. But the high volume node of the day is essentially right around 34.89. That's where we're right about now. To me, this is still range bound, so I'm probably not going to enter anytime soon. I don't see anything happening that I like. And if today's one of those days that just I shouldn't be trading, I'll let it be. But as of right now, I don't like the way anything looks right now. We might just be stuck in that range bound situation, so you probably won't see me trading that. Since it is just chopping up and down right now, just hitting that resistance point, just bouncing off, forming that triple bottom at the moment. We have some time. If you guys could hit that like button, I would really appreciate that. Yeah, Tom, that's possible, but I pretty much dedicate the mornings just for trading. I don't like anything interfering with that. So till about like 11:30 or so, I'm always at my trading desk. Yeah, Mustafa. Graham Stefan does say that a lot. I gotta follow him more. He's grown a lot, man. Good quality guy though. Quality guy. I'll give him that. I like his videos a lot. He's very honest. That's what I like. I appreciate the likes, guys, and we have some more people joining in today, so that's great. That's what the like button does, right? It provides us to more people. Thanks, Enzo. That's the goal, man. Like, we want to be able to grow this. The live streams, I'll be talking about like how I'm trading, but the whole point of the Discord that's in the link below, it's to build that community where everyone can help each other. I think that's like the biggest part. Like, everyone's always like looking for a mentor or to get advice from somebody else, like to see what to build. And once we have that little group and then we're all talking with each other whenever we have time, right? We're able to spread information much faster and spread the right information because we probably tested it, we probably learned from it. So it's like we can all help each other out. Oh, no, Mustafa, we're not doing that. Oh, don't worry, I'll always remember the first supporters. Johnny, I do short. I'm not just long bias. I only go long with stocks, but with ES and futures, like I will go short. It's just a matter of finding the right setup. But the overall trend for the past couple of days has just been long. So why do I want to fight that trend, right? So that's the whole point of just staying with the trend. I'm looking for buy setups. But then once that trend reverses, I'll be going short too. Because futures is a market where you can make money on both sides. Well, so are stocks and everything, but stocks, it's just, I prefer to just go long on them because like they're built to grow. So is the ES, but nobody likes to, swing trade the ES, right? I'm not gonna hold like 2 contracts for like a couple days, even though that would pay out really well. That'll be very nerve-wracking because you know how the ES is, like it can just drop in the overnight session and come back up, and you need a lot of drawdown for that. Yeah, guys, like let me zoom in on the chart right here. I'll show you, like it's just, like I said, just choppy, rangy, and we've noticed that when it's choppy, if I ever get in a trade, it's not going to end well. So we're not trading the chop, we're not trading these little ranges. If it was like a big range, then I have no problem getting into that, but small ranges, not worth my time. But yeah, going back to Enzo's point, like, yeah, I will always remember the first supporters, guys. Like, that's something I'll always do. Because you guys are the first supporters right now. Thanks, Mustafa. I appreciate that. It's always about good quality. Oops. I mean, since the market is just chopping, we can just talk about some stocks and everything that from yesterday and the alerts that happened. So at the moment, right, we were talking about Walmart yesterday for everyone that was here. With Walmart, we got that alert, crushed through completely. Now it's just jumping right through even our take profit level 3. And now it might just pump up, but we'll see. But today's market might affect it. But Walmart's always a good growth stock. It's like they control a big market share, and the amount of money that they bring in every year is quite ridiculous. Again, we're just in that chop, and now we can see our high volume nodes, like that area, that little zone. It wasn't much before, but now this whole area is starting to grow more and more and more. So this is our high chop area. We got that resistance level right there. Same thing here on the NQ. Breaking through it would be a big deal. I think also with the NQ, no, I guess the 12,000s of resistance isn't really happening too much anymore. We did broke through before. But isn't it crazy that we're in all-time highs in this weird situation that's happening around the world with COVID and everything, that we're able to go to all-time highs so fast? Oh yeah, I agree with those people. We are in a little bubble because like the economy is not good at all right now. And if you guys were listening to the Fed the other day, or just the news coming out, right? It's like about inflation, how they're just thinking about, oh, we'll just average it out over the next 10-year period. That's not the way inflation's supposed to work. Like when we're doing inflation and deflation, calculating everything, it's always been measured to like that 2%. Is like that okay, that our happy medium number, right? 2% inflation is okay for us. That's okay. But right now, they're saying, oh, we'll just measure at the end, because they're thinking like, oh, we'll have like really low inflation for like a couple years, and then a higher inflation for the next couple years, and they're thinking, oh, we can just average it out to 2%, and they would be happy with that. But I'm just like, that literally goes against pretty much all the rules that you've like listen to, like read about in your textbooks when you went to college, like when you're learning about finance in school. And like I was just like, it makes no sense, man. Like they're just I feel like the Fed's kind of just giving up. They're just like, let's see what happens. Like this is kind of ridiculous. It is criminal what they're doing, man. But they have all the power, right? But dude, like I'm still astonished that we were able to come to all-time highs after a pandemic, and the pandemic's not even over yet. The cases are still there. There's new cases forming every day. We're closer to a vaccine, but that's not gonna change everything, right? Like let's see what you said. Yeah, they're gonna wear that money printing machine out. That is true, man. Like, but how long can they do that though? That's the thing. Like, they might delay the crash, but the more you delay a crash, the worse of a crash that happens. Because like even the real estate market, right? Because like if they're gonna continue to keep these low interest rates, then yeah, obviously people are still gonna buy, but everyone's also cautious in the sense that they know this doesn't make sense. Our economy is not supposed to perform this way. I know there's a lot of people that don't understand like finance, like the economy overall, because they're always in a different field. That makes sense, but it's still something that everyone should learn about because it affects their daily lives. We need to lend to everyone. Dude, the amount of debt we hold is ridiculous. I remember like when I was like a kid and I walked through New York, right? I used to see there's a I forgot what street it was on, but there's a street where it literally like there's a live screen on the US national debt. I think when I first saw it, it was like what, 7 trillion maybe? What are we at now? US national. The current national debt is 23.3 trillion. We went from 7 trillion back in like 2003 to 23.3 million. Yeah, the debt clock, that's what it's called. Oh man, that blows, Enzo. That you lost the 10K. But you know that happens with these, man. Like, there's always those buyers that just kind of play us. They waste a lot of our times, and then there's dealing with them is honestly like annoying. I think that's why we might just try to start focusing on just the sellers, because that way at least you get the property, and you just get the buyers to come to you. But I've honestly been getting annoyed by dealing with buyers for real estate just because like they just waste so much of my time. So what I'm thinking is like the only way we could get out of like our little debt crisis and everything is, well, one, we create a new currency, which probably won't happen, but two, they'll start burning some of our own money, that old money, to reduce like the supply, that we can increase the value of the dollar. Yeah, man, that's, I don't know why anybody would turn down an all cash offer. That's like the easiest deal ever. You don't have to deal with the banks or everything. It's like, just get your little appraisal done. Takes like a couple hours. Sign your paperwork. You're done. Yeah, I don't know what that guy was up to if he said no to a cash offer. Yeah, man, it's hard. It's hard to. It's easy to say just grab the listings, but it's hard to get them. Oh, you guys took the appraisal out too? Okay, I don't know what was wrong with that person then. I'm sorry. That's just I don't know what's wrong with that person. I would have hopped on that if I was selling a house, because then it's like cash offer, easy deal. Yeah, origin code. They are working on a new digital currency. That'll be very interesting to see what happens with that. And then I think then with the dollar like not doing so well and the world currencies not doing so well, that's why crypto is getting more popular. So like a long-term hold on crypto kind of seems like a good deal to me, because it has that potential to grow. But not all cryptos. I'm specifically just talking about Bitcoin. Do you think eventually the US dollar won't be the currency we compare to with the world markets? I doubt it. America's too much of a powerhouse. They like having that control on their hands, so I doubt anything like that would happen. At least not in our lifetime. Yeah, origin code, that will be very interesting, man. Like that has crossed my mind. It was just like, but the only thing is like we can transfer as much to digital currency and everything, but we still need cash, right? Like the world depends on cash. Because if you think about it, like all our digital currencies and us paying each other and everything only work in an environment where we have electricity, we have Wi-Fi, we have 4G, 5G, whatever G at that point, and it all depends on us having power, electricity. If, say, God forbid, right, we enter a point in our lives where we're at war with another country, or there's just some bad stuff going around in the world, and somebody does like an EMP strike, guess what? Power's gone. And then people ask for money. Guess what? If everything's digital, you can't use it. You don't have access to it. So I think that's why cash will always remain. I think the amount of cash circulating will reduce in like a really good amount in the coming years, because everyone is switching over, just paying digital payments as it is already. But the cash will always be there. That's just my opinion on it, because I feel like as a government, like running things, like they have to prepare for all aspects of what can happen. And I feel like because people can do EMP strikes and everything, so it just cut out your power, everything, and your whole system's gone. That's what the feds around the world are working to build now, that they want control over every aspect of our lives. They can control digital since I mean, that's why, like, even when the stimulus check happened, right? Think about it. The people that had to get a mail-in check, it took a while for them. Some of them didn't get it for like 2-3 months. They were struggling, man. I felt really bad. But then for the people that filed their taxes and connected their bank account, they got it immediately. So they're trying to shift people over to having that digital currency, like having online accounts, so that that way they can track everything, and so that if the moment comes where if you try to do something, well, obviously you shouldn't be doing something illegal to begin with, right? But they have full control over that. They can just take money from your bank account because that's the power that they have, and that's scary. I don't like having, you know, Big Brother watch over you the whole time. I mean, you will still have fuel, Tom. You will still have fuel, just you have to pay for it with cash. Because we can use fuel to operate generators that provide electricity. So fuel will always be there, but again, fuel is always a limited resource as well. In our lifetime, we'll be fine. But next lifetime, we'll have to see how it goes, but we won't be there. But in our lifetime, we have a good supply of fuel left. But yeah, it's very interesting how the world's changing. That's why even like why the government's like require, what was it, after the whole Bitcoin fiasco that happened like 2 years ago in 2018, where Bitcoin went all the way up to like 20,000 or whatever, they realized Bitcoin was getting big and they wanted to control it, and that's why they make you report Bitcoin holdings in your taxes. There's literally a statement that's, if they ask you, like even my accountant when I was doing taxes last year, they were like, did you trade Bitcoin? That was like the first question they asked me. It's like, they need to add that. And the whole point of Bitcoin was so that it wasn't government regulated, but government's trying to regulate that as well. Yeah, we're still in that opening range, guys. Looking at our charts, right? This was our opening candle, 10 points. We pretty much just bounced off of that again. I'm not seeing anything good happening at the moment. So now is the time to have a nice little discussion until we find something, a nice move happening. But until then, today I might, the way it looks right now, I might not have a trade this morning. And these are the days when you get tested. Do you force a trade just to get some profit and then you lose your money? Or do you just wait it out and come back the next day and actually execute and not have to worry about taking losses? It breaks through that right now on the ES. We'll see how it performs. But I'm still not a fan of it. NQ is still looking to, like, it wants to push higher. ES, it's like, it's just indicating that it wants to go down. So I don't like it when things aren't in sync. Oh, you meant for electric fuel pumps? Yeah. That would be a problem. Yeah, yesterday there was some chop as well, a little bit. But yesterday was more of a channel, like to the upside, and then it just broke out of the channel and just took a dump. But Today it's more just a chop. And it normally happens around 10 o'clock too. They normally call it the 10 o'clock reversal, or around 10 o'clock there's a chop. So it's very common, but you just have to pay attention to how it's happening so you don't get caught in it. Like today we saw, hey, it wasn't breaking out of the opening morning range, and overnight it was pretty much just range bound, and we just got a little bit choppy at the morning. So when that happens, you have to just sit there and wait. Unless you're an expert at trading the chop, good for you. I am not an expert at trading the chop. I don't trade the chop, so yeah. Enzo, honestly, man, it just takes some practice. I think the best thing you have to understand is like, how bad do you want it? It's like, at the end of the day, trading is just following a bunch of rules. Like, say if you're at work or you did anything, right? You wouldn't do anything crazy at work. You wouldn't go walking around your office just screaming or yelling for no reason. It's like, why would you do that? Like, you know, it's like, or you wouldn't sit there at your desk and not do a single piece of work or a single task that you were assigned that day if you're at work. That's part of the rule. Like, you go to work, you have some rules. You do your work, you get your lunch break, take your break, and then you go home. You have simple rules. You don't break those rules there. So with trading, it's the same thing. You just follow your rules. And if it becomes hard to follow the rules, that's when you want to have a little bit of distraction to yourself. Like, read some news. If you think you see a choppy market, read some news. Take your eyes off of the market. That way you don't force yourself into a trade. Because having discipline is a very big part about trading, man. Discipline is very big. I think the best way for me is, first, I take my hand off of the mouse. Because if my hand's on the mouse, I will be more triggered to enter, right? Because that's how I make my entries. Like, I don't have to use a keyboard. It's all just 2 clicks, I'm done. So that's why when I'm just being patient, I'll just play with a pen in my hand, like you guys see me do all the time. Like, you guys probably don't see it because my hand's down here, but here. Like, I'll always just be playing with a pen, or I'll have something in my hand, or I'll respond to some people on my phone. But if the market's choppy, I just like to sit. Because the one thing you have to understand is like, hey, if I trade in a choppy market, I know I'm going to lose. If I know I'm going to lose, why am I going to do it? That's like saying, oh, that restaurant has the worst food in the world, and I know that, but you know what? I'm going to go there for lunch today, and I'm going to go get sick from it. Like, it makes no sense to me, right? So you just got to be patient. Just sit and relax, and you have to let the setup come to you. And some days the setup doesn't come, and that's okay. Because we're here for the long run. We're not here to just trade for 1 week and then be done. Exactly, Mustafa. It's better to sit than lose. And honestly, I think discipline just comes with time as well. Like, the more you're trading, the more you realize, hey, like, I've lost from this before. I'm not gonna repeat myself. That's why it's nice to keep like your trading journal. And I think that's very important in trading as well. Keeping a trading journal. You don't have to make it like very extensive, like, oh, take every single detail down. But a general trading journal where it just says, okay, I entered here. Why did I enter? Did I make a profit? did I make a loss? You made a profit, understand why you made a profit, and then understand why you made a loss. And I think actually I'm gonna build out a template for you guys. I think that's gonna help everyone. Right now I kind of just write it down in a book, but I think I'll create like an Excel template, very simple. That way you guys can just jot down your trades that you take in a day, and then tell yourself, like, type it out. Just say, okay, I followed this strategy, it worked out for me, I made a profit. I followed this strategy, I lost. And then you explain, why did you lose? Did something happen? Were you not paying attention? Were you distracted? Were you just forcing a trade? Like, and then after that, after a couple of days, you'll start realizing a little pattern going where it's like, oh, I was on my phone when this happened. Like, I missed the trade because I was on my phone. I lost because I wasn't paying attention to the market. Or I won because I pretty much just was patient and let the trade run. And you start putting those things together, and then you realize the flaws in your strategy versus the pros, the things that work in your strategy, so that you can only follow the things that work. Yeah, man, it's always because of the stupid stuff. We all go through it. I still go through it sometimes because I get ahead. Sometimes it's hard because, like, you think something's happening and then you get ahead of yourself, and then you'll have that stupid loss. It happens. The only point is, like, we have to improve ourselves so that we reduce the amount of times that those stupid losses happen. That's how we grow as a trader. But yeah, I think over the weekend I'll write that on my list to do. Create a nice little trading journal template that people can track their trades on, and then at the end of every week or at the end of every month, just do a nice reflection on them, and then that way you guys can improve your trading as well. But yeah, going back to that topic of just going to all-time highs again, right? I think the factors that we have to keep in mind for the next couple months is it's election year. Like, and we all know how much Trump loves talking about the market. The market's made new highs. The market's made new highs. It has, but he hasn't been the reason for that, though. Like these tech companies are what's leading the market. But the Fed pumping in money to the markets, the Fed buying corporate bonds from like Apple and other big tech companies as well that are already super profitable, it just helps their like their books out, right? Like, they're getting more money from the Fed. So that's also interesting to see the Fed buying corporate bonds. But election year, they're going to try to pump it up as much as possible, and then after election's done, that's when we'll see. It does. I don't know. It doesn't. I don't think it matters who the president is for the next election. Like, after the election's done, I think we're still due for a pretty big recession. The market might not react as well to it because we've seen the markets pretty much highly manipulated. We saw the Fed can control it, just pumping money in. But the overall economy will take a hit, and the market might lag because, you know, they like to play all the retail traders out. Yeah, and companies have been buying their own stock back for years, which is, they have good profits then. But that's where American Airlines got screwed. Remember that. That's what all these airlines did, right? They just kept, to avoid taxes and everything, they're just doing stock buybacks. So they're buying their own shares back, and that way they don't have to, whatever they buy, they don't really get affected by the tax, because they're like, okay, it's reinvestment and the government gives them a tax break. So they've been doing that. Once the corona hit, the airlines just tanked, and that's why they're like, oh, we need funding from the government and everything. Like, you didn't need to buy your shares back. You didn't need to, because like they were just buying doing stock buybacks just to avoid taxes. And now that they're in trouble, instead of keeping a cash reserve like a good company would, like for example, like Apple, like look at them, they're a great company, they have billions of dollars sitting in cash. That's why I love Apple, for that one reason. It's because no matter what happens, like even if they have a full year of no sales, nobody buying Apple, if Apple just shuts everything down for a year, they can still come back the next year, next couple years. They can close down for a couple years and still be fine. That's how much cash they have on hand. But with these airline companies, they're trying to get away and not pay taxes so that their CEOs and their corporate executives could get bigger bonuses, bigger paychecks. And that's exactly what happened. Like, they kept buying their stocks back, and then Corona hit, everybody sold their positions off, everything tanked. They're like, oh, the government needs to bail us out. Like, what kind of company doesn't just keep cash reserves for like emergencies? So Boeing, yeah, it couldn't last a month, but the thing with Boeing is Boeing has so many defense contracts that the government wouldn't let them fail. It was too linked to the government, so like they wouldn't let Boeing fail. American Airlines, United Airlines, Delta, whatever, all those airlines, they could have just been like, okay, this isn't our fault. Like, you had your opportunity to create cash reserves and everything, and the government gave them money. And then the stupidest part was like the president's administration tried to get control over that to see where the money goes, and then they're like, okay, we're not gonna care what you guys do with the money, you just tell us at the end. So for like whatever time it's been right now since they got the funding, they're allowed to do whatever they wanted with it without any oversight. So I think come September or October, like they'll do like a little review, but it's like they could have used that money for anything. And then they had that stipulation, I believe, I might be wrong, this is just from what I heard from a couple months ago and what I read, right? So there was like a clause that said like you can't really fire employees till like September, October, because they had to keep them on their belt, because like they were getting government funding for the whole purpose of, you know, providing employment, making sure the company can run. But come September, I think that clause goes away, and I think the companies might see an opportunity to just fire a lot of people. U.S. taxpayers will be bailing out airlines, banks, etc. once again, especially once real estate corrects or crashes. Oh yeah, man. It's always the taxpayers that get hit. That's why in the pandemic, the rich got richer by a lot. I forgot what the stat was. Let's see. How much? No, how do I even ask that question? How much? So billionaires got an additional 637 billion during COVID-19. Just think about that. That top 1% made an extra 637 billion just because of this pandemic. But taxpayers do end up paying the price all the time, man. That's just the way the system is, and it's rigged. That's why we're all here. Make that great money, build your and then diversify your portfolios. Obviously get some real estate in, get some, obviously you guys already trade, so I don't even have to tell you to invest in stocks and everything, but having your own business always helps. And then learning how to, you know, legally avoid your taxes, or like get your taxes as low as possible within your business. That's how a lot of these people make their money, because they save a lot. They say you can use have expenses, right? Expenses. And then all those expenses cover all their like normal needs for the most part, not all of them obviously, but so a part of it is they own stocks and everything, but it's also the fact that they have the businesses that profit off of the pandemic and how much control they have over everything, right? Let's see.
Your Honda dealer is open and ready.
I hate these ads, man. Literally just opened up a tab just to read about the article to explain how the rich got richer, but what? And Congress goes on a much needed vacation instead of staying in town and working on the plan. Yeah, man, that's what happened with like the whole second round of stimulus, right? Like they couldn't decide on one thing. Like they had 4 months to decide. Like, oh, we still can't decide. Like how? Like that was so stupid. No, I do have ad block, but you know, like I was on Forbes, right? And Forbes, they tell you you have to turn off your ad block, or else you have to subscribe as a premium member. I'm not paying for Forbes. Like I don't use it that much, so I turned off ad block just for that 1 second, and then they had all these ads pop up. And we need ad block, and nowadays, like that's just ridiculous. Like, you know how many people, like how many random ads there are out there? Yeah, Tom, choppy markets, we get to solve the world's problems, right? No, it's good to like talk about this stuff. Because like now we get to like understand the market as a whole. So it's like if we have our long-term investments, we know exactly how we should be reacting towards them. Yeah, man, Trump might win, but it's so stupid that he gives himself credit for the markets. Like he doesn't control the markets. He doesn't do anything for them. Like that's the stupid part that I always thought. It's like all of his interviews. I hate. I don't like watching his interviews or anything like that, because like I feel like it's always some type of nonsense. I'm a person that likes to go based on facts and everything, like, but I don't want to hear the person say, "Oh, look at the markets," when you ask them a question about the pandemic. Like, and like, I understand political views. Everyone has their own. That's why I won't say anything. But because everyone has a right to have their own opinion on who they like, who they don't want. But I'm just saying, like, I'm a person that likes to hear facts and go off the facts. And when I'm looking at the news, I want to hear about facts. I don't want to hear about a person when they're asked the question, "Oh, like COVID cases are rising," but then he responds with, "Oh, but the markets are doing amazing." Like, what correlation does that have? I feel like that would just be a waste of my time. Oh yeah, ad block is a must, man. Like YouTube gets so annoying if you don't have it. But the issue is if you use Chrome, then you're still stuck with the ads because, you know, Google controls Chrome and Chrome controls YouTube as well. So we're stuck there. But if you use Firefox, you don't have to see a single ad. I love that. And going back to the topic of like the rich getting richer, like it's because of the businesses that they own, because they're able to profit off of the situation. It's like one, like Amazon was a big one just simply because their whole service was based on, okay, you can sit at home, we'll ship everything to you, we'll bring everything to you. Having a pandemic which requires you to sit at home, their sales go through the roof because that's all everyone's doing. They're sitting at home and they want to get stuff, but they don't want to go to the grocery store, so they just order. So obviously their sales go up. That was like a big part. And then there's other businesses that go up. But the only thing that's been affected right now is a lot of people in cities that aren't paying rent, so their landlords are getting hit hard. So those people that own the big buildings, they're getting a very big hit right now. But the government's giving anyone with a mortgage that's not paying their mortgage on time at the moment a forbearance, so they're just pushing the payments off at least 12 months. So that's very nice. That's actually very helpful. So that's something that I'm happy about, that people have that opportunity. But the rental crisis though, we'll see a lot of foreclosure, like not a foreclosure, some foreclosures will happen, but for the big buildings, they will be taking a heavy hit, and we'll see how they survive. Some people might get out of the rental business just because they don't want to deal with this headache again. As we all know, like some type of flu, some type of disease always rolls around every couple years. Like we had swine flu, we had Ebola, we have Corona now. It's like we had SARS. Well, America didn't get hit with SARS, but like other countries did. So the flu always mutates and everything. So it's like we've always had something. Oh yeah, I do remember that. What was it? I think which one got broken up? I forgot which one. I think there was a big cell phone company that got broken up into two parts. But yeah, monopolies mainly happened back with Rockefeller. Like a nice little history lesson, right? Where Rockefeller, pretty much a big oil guy, had so many businesses, had so much money, richest man at the time. They had to split him up because he just controlled everything. And right now, Amazon is getting to the same point. He's like, they're just infiltrating every single sector of business. And then the government will have to step in at some point and break them up, but I don't think they're there just yet. Maybe in a couple years at least. Google's it's a different field. Like Amazon still deals with like retail stuff, so it's like you can understand why you need to break it up. Google, it's mainly tech, so it's like, how do you break up tech? Like I'm not too familiar with that, so I can't say much. That's why I'm like, if you guys know the answer, like how you could break up Google. I don't think Google needs to be broken up, to be honest. It's a good company. But yeah, there was a telephone company. What was it? I think it wasn't AT&T, was it? Or Singular? Or I forgot what the name was. But yeah, Harry, the virus is worldwide, and I don't think that's the first time in history, man. I think we have like a virus coming up all the time. It's just that we are able to contain it better. Yeah, we had the Spanish flu. That was a big one back in the day. But the issue with the flus and everything, right? In previous days, we didn't travel from country to country as often, so we wouldn't have spread it. But now we just, you know, travel back and forth. Like the amount of planes just flying across, right? So that's where people are getting sick, bringing it over, getting other people sick. That's how it's spreading. With the coronavirus, the situation was that it was airborne. It wasn't just people getting sick. Because like some people, okay, yeah, you get sick and then you get the flu, go away. Corona, it was spreading much faster. That's why it created this pandemic, because it was pretty much airborne. Because like it would cause your respiratory problems, and every time you talked, somebody else could get those particles from your mouth to them. So that's why it was a big issue. That's why the whole mask situation is there. But honestly, I feel like we should have just stayed in quarantine. Like the whole country should have just been on lockdown for like 2 weeks. And I think we would have had a lot less cases, a lot less deaths. So we didn't do that, and we kept going. Like we never shut down. We just said, oh yeah, you should stay in quarantine. Like the way we treated it, in my opinion, was like, take a 5-year-old kid, right, and then in front of him put him like a whole bowl full of Oreos, and tell him, oh, you don't, like, you don't have to eat it, but you can eat it, but I won't be looking, I'm just gonna walk away. What's the kid gonna do? He's gonna eat the Oreos. Like, how can you not? They're so delicious. But Oreos aren't the point right now, but it's just the fact that we're still given that freedom to just, you know, still do whatever. And that's what people were doing. They didn't want to listen. They didn't want to protect anyone. They didn't want to end the pandemic. The whole reason that this is still going is people, they just stayed inside for a little while. Just 2 weeks. 2 weeks of your life. If you just gave that up and just sat at home, you would have just been really good for the rest of your year. You could have enjoyed the rest of your year. There's a lot of countries right now that have gone back to normal because their cases are barely anything. What was the country, like New Zealand or something? Forgot. But they had 0 cases, but then they got 1 because somebody flew back in. But again, they contained it so well, and everybody in that country like followed their rules, and they were able to get over it and go back to normal. But for us, we're still stuck wearing masks every day because we're still have to force to go out. We're still, even if we still do a nice quarantine now, I think we still have a good potential to stop the cases. So I use the 200 EMA. That's my personal favorite, because that's where most of the bounces happen. Now you can see on the NQ right here, that yellow line, that's a 200 EMA. Here, same thing, yellow line, 200 EMA. We can see price just bouncing off of it every time. The WeBop is also a good one, but I personally just wanted less things on my chart. Just my support and resistance, and then the 200 EMA, because it's the best indication of our trends and good for bounce plays. I never used the 125 WMA. I have used the WeBop, but I realized I don't really need it for my type of trading, because I can also see like the high volume nodes right here. So if I ever wanted to go there, it's like the WeBop kind of tends to move with that. Again, we're clearly just bouncing off of that support level. I would have went for a play here, just for like a quick 2 points off the bounce. But my only issue here today was we're very choppy, 1. 2, I was expecting a full flush down after breaking through that morning range. So that didn't happen, so that's why I didn't want to do that. But normally the support and resistance levels are good places to go for a quick reversal play, right? It's that resistance point, get short for like a point or two. It's that support point, get long for a point or two. Yeah, man, the wicks are crazy. That's why I'm not touching anything right now. But these are the plays where you could probably get in and out really quickly. Let's see how the tick chart's doing. Yeah, tick chart's pretty much under the 200 EMA or the point, same thing, and the ES again. Nice little downtrend happening. We're following that trend from the overnight session. Had that little range. We're still in that low range, which is choppy. We're continuing to go to the downside, so it's like a nice little channel on the tick charts, right? So when your EMA is above the trend, are you waiting for to bounce off of a shorter continuation? So yeah, so the way you would use the EMA exactly right here, I'll just make this chart bigger. Let me show you a better example. But essentially what you're waiting for, if your candles are below the 200 EMA, you're waiting for a bounce off of that. So I'd be waiting for it to touch that yellow line right here, and I would look to get short again. But the one thing you have to keep in mind is sometimes we might just buffer around the EMA. But when we're on like a big trend, that's when we'll use the EMA as like a perfect support area or like perfect resistance area. So like yesterday, right? Like we can see, we're still continuing our trend, bounced off of the EMA right there, bounced off perfectly, again continuing that trend up, bounced off, continued, Then we broke through a little bit, but then that's when we had our support here and then bounced off again. But you want to be careful of not to just think like the EMA is just that area where you can always just put your order right here to get long or whatever. The best way to trade it is let it break through or let it touch. But if you see like resistance happening there, or sorry, if you're seeing support happening there, that's when you can get long. But in this case right here, there was no support. It was pushing through. So you let it push through and then you would look to enter after it crosses again. Because if you're just going, oh, I'm just gonna trail my order to with the EMA to catch something, you will probably get burned. Because sometimes it can just rip through. That's why you just gotta be careful. It's a good area to understand how the trend's reacting, right? So even though it came down here, you could have been like, okay, it looks like it's bouncing off. Got a nice little green candle here. No wicks to the downside. We're going. And you could have got long on that green candle to continue. But right now, our support area is where it's bouncing off every time. And we got a new subscriber, Jonathan. Thank you. Yeah, man, today's just choppy. When I see high wicks like this, I'm not gonna enter. Because I got burned from these high wicks a good amount of times, so I'm not gonna enter. Because like when I'm trading these high wicks, based on my strategies, it would require me to have a higher stop, and then sometimes it would reverse, and it would just make me lose a good amount. So I was like, not going that route again. But Delta is pointing to the downside. And man, today just looks like it's one of those days where it's like we're not gonna catch a trade. Kinda sucks. Let me go check the 1 minute charts to see if anything nice is about to happen. I don't like it. Don't like it one bit. Yeah, like just look at these wicks, guys. Like again, this is on the Heikin-Ashi candles too. So it's like we go to regular candlesticks, we can see that nice little mess. Like, what are these candles? This is happening for this long. That just means that everyone's like a lot like unbiased, and like the Funky Friday I was talking about, that's happening. Yeah, I prefer, so I consider a candle like how big the candles are, because like obviously when you're doing your risk reward, because like if you're looking for momentum plays, you don't want to have like a big candle. Like if I was trying to enter on this candle, my stop would be a very high, right? Because this was a 10-point candle. This is something I would avoid. Have a nice weekend, Tom. We'll see you Monday. But yeah, so if it's like a big candle like this, I wouldn't enter. Even if I got an alert, I wouldn't enter, just because I would have to risk so much, and it's not worth it. Because if that play goes wrong, it's gonna pull my account down a good amount. So it's like you don't want to do that. Normal candles, couple points, that's okay. But this is like a 10-point candle. If it's like a 10-point candle like and above, I just don't touch it. It's like my risk would have to be high. And with like big candles like that, if you say you entered right at the bottom of them, they have a potential of just completely just bouncing right back up, right? So that's something we want to be careful of. That's why I prefer generally candles like between 2 points to like 6 to 7 points. 2 to 6, I feel like those are good candles because they can provide you some good moves. I think anything after 7 points in one candle, they might have a potential for just pull back down before they do anything. So we were flirting with our support zone right now, and then finally broke through it. So we can see we're gonna get that big push. But I'm not looking to enter in this market. I'm sorry. Like, it doesn't fit my setups. We might get a big move probably at the end of the day, but right now it's continuing this downtrend, so we'll let it be. But this is something, it's like you need to be having a higher stop loss today. Well, tick charts normally just happen very quickly, so it's like you won't get like a 10-point candle on a tick chart ever. On a tick chart, if you're getting like 5 points, that means there's no volume and everything just pumped up. So if a tick chart's like 5 points, don't touch it. Like you can see like this one, right? The high was 85, the low was 82 for this green candle right here. That's about 2.5 points to 3 points. So that's okay. 1-point candles for a tick chart, or 2-point, 2.5, 3. They're perfect for the tick chart. But when it's like 5 points on just a one single tick, that's when you know it's gonna start reversing. Like let's take this one for example, right? We just had this a couple at 9:53. This one just went from like 89 to like 93. It's a good 4 points. And then just pump back down. But again, this is also in a choppy market. But most tick charts, your signals, if you're following that tick chart strategy, you would only want 1 or 2 points or 3, not more than that. I'd say anything like over 3, like I think over 4 is just like you should just not look at the tick charts if the candle's like pushing like that. Like this was a perfect signal. Let's see the size. Yeah, this is 2.5, like 2.753. Like the whole range of it. Yeah, under 3 usually normally good. That's what you'll see normally. You won't see like your entry candles being like 5 points. If it is, don't touch it. Because then your stop loss is going to have to also be like 5 points, because you're probably placing your stop at the high of that candle. And the tick charts are just going for quick scalps, so you shouldn't be having like a 5-point stop. You know what would be nice? If we could get that bounce right here. If this could be the point where we just rip up, that would be awesome. But if you look at the smoothed like Heikin-Ashi average, trend is down. But going back to the NQ, where my resistance level looks good. NQ pretty much just hit our resistance point, came right back down. So now we can see if we're still range bound, then ES could easily bounce off of here at 34.83 and can easily at least get to the high volume nodes, right, of 84.89. So that'd be like a 5-point move. Oh, sorry, 6 point. 83 to 89. Yeah, that's 6 points. I wish I was in a trade, but you know what? That just mean I'd lose money, so not worth it. Let me know. Did any of you guys get in on anything this morning? Nice, man. That's good. Nice 3-point short. That's good profit. So again, like I was saying, this might be our point for a nice reversal. Because one thing we're paying attention to, start paying attention to delta. Kind of just bottomed out right there, right? Why can't I zoom out of it? Yep. Delta looks like it wants to reverse. Make a big candle. Yeah, see, we can look, my analysis might be right now, because I said from 83 to 89. Let's see what happens. $9.40 last night. Let me check that out. What was 940? I wish my trading view chart could just be regular time, not military time. Yeah, 9:30. Yeah, that was a good, very good signal. I'm just gonna pull it up on the charts. This was, yeah. Sorry, 9:40, right? Yeah, 9:40. You got alerted at 9:40 right here. So when the alert was live, you would have had these lines to show you exactly where to go. And if you stuck it out, you could have had 7.75 points. Well, minus one tick because we always enter one tick above, so 7.5 points. But in this case, your risk was always measured, right? Your risk is always measured, actually. I shouldn't say just in this case. Yeah, you have a 2.07 risk to reward ratio, which is great. You got out of 49.50. Oh, so you made that like 7 points or even more. A little bit. Let me see. I kind of removed the lines. Yeah, if you want, if you got out at 49.50, then wait, 34.950. Oh, 95. Okay. Yeah, that's still a good couple points. 4 points, right? But again, you got to be careful in the overnight session. Again, I called it right here, right? We saw the delta reversing. I said it's tested that support, couldn't break below it. Said it could easily go right back up to the high volume node. Let's see if it hits it at 34.89. That was my analysis for like quick, like 6 points. But yeah, this weekend I will make a full video on how to trade for better results in the overnight as well. I don't recommend trading the overnight. I don't do it. It's up to you if you guys want to do it. That's all, because like it's your trading, your decisions. But I personally just trade the mornings, find good moves there because they're quick moves too. Because I don't have to sit. But yeah, some good moves do happen overnight as well. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be trading too big in the overnight either. It's good to not trade too many positions with the ES, especially in these markets, especially today. Like, look at this. You're trading like 5 contracts on this, you would have been down so much. Guys, what did I say? It was done. It was hitting that support. I called it before it happened. From that 83. Where was the high? 89. Yep. Normally I would have no problem playing these plays, but off to like the support. But today's market conditions, didn't like them. That's why I didn't get in. Yes, Johnny, this is cumulo delta on my chart. On the bottom, it's the cumulo delta. On the right, it's just the volume for the day. But pretty much, even if you were playing support and resistance plays, you want to be much safer about it. What you could have done is you're waiting. Well, you wouldn't never want to get on the first one, right? Because like you could have right on the high of the candle to break it. You could have went for a point, you would have got it. But once you see support really acting tight, and you see the cumulo delta acting tight as well, and it wants to reverse, that's when you know, use that candle, and at the break of that candle, you can catch a couple points. And even if you entered up here around 85, you could have still got 4 points. Because I know some people like to trade support and resistance levels like all the way from like bottom to top. Yeah, that's perfect. That works too. But you have to know, like, sometimes they'll pull back up to the middle. In this case, the middle was right at the high volume nodes today. So that's why I said 89 would be our best bet. It hit it perfectly. And now we'll see if it continues, because the overall trend is still down. I haven't been using the cumulo delta for too long, but I've been learning about it very quickly, and I'm starting to understand and might incorporate in my actual trades, right? Because I like it, especially when it's able to identify the point of flips. That's what I want to get into, not any of these in the middle, just the points where it wants to flip. And Enzo, since we were talking about the 200 EMA before, so in this play, right, we're still in the short trend. Price is still below the 200 EMA. So what we could look for is a bounce play off of that 200 EMA right there, because one, 200 EMA acts as good resistance and support. 2, we have our resistance level as well right there, so that's double confirmation. So we might see a nice bounce play off of here once it gets there, and that's around the 34.92s. So let's see if that bounce happens. We're approaching it, which is nice. Yeah, man, it broke through that 89, that high volume node. But that high volume node was just our target. It can easily break through that, but we might see that reversal. But again, our heavy resistance will be right around that 200 EMA and our resistance point. Okay, so one thing about the markets that we learned is that nothing ever remains the same, right? You can't just depend on the high volume node or anything like that to say, oh, there's going to be a complete reversal every single time. That's just where price was traded the most. That's all. That's because there was a lot of chop. But after some time, we're able to just break through that because people don't care about that price anymore. I do have it up. I just don't use it that often. I think on the NQ I had the 22 range. It's nice to understand when like the high points are, but with my type of trading, it's not just about going off the reversal at the highs. I try to catch those momentum moves. Like, so in this case, on the regular charts, I would have been trying to catch this move right here. So 22 range charts, yeah, they're a good thing, but I don't really have a big use for them. I'll check them once in a while just to see if like the market's overextended and wants to reverse a little bit. But you have to understand, even with the 22 range, it's like it can push up, but then keep continuing at any point. NQ, same thing happening. Cumulative delta has been piling up right there. It's breaking above right now. If it can hold, we might see that little push. Yeah, I have the no diddle just to test it out, but I don't really use it. I just use it to understand like the highs and low points where reversals happen. But like, then again, I have my resistance points that help me out. Again, guys, that downtrend is still apparent, and we have to be aware of that. This does not just mean it's gonna rip through. It can, you never know, but we have a key level of resistance right there, so we'll have to see how price reacts. Another key level resistance right here. It's interesting because like NQ is above the 200 EMA, ES is under the 200 EMA, so we'll see how they perform. NQ is hitting its resistance point right now. We'll see if price touches that at all at that 34.9275. NQ bouncing off right there. We still got time on it though. We'll see. But as of right now, the delta is still looking good, but it's just a matter of will it continue that downtrend. Yeah, this can potentially be a trend change. That's what I'm looking at, because like the cumulative delta on the ES is pretty strong. NQ is a bit weaker. Again, the markets aren't really in sync today, and that means there is chop going around. If we can break through some pivot highs, we could see a trend reversal, but the overnight session, that trend is still predominant right now, right? So if we want to draw some trend lines, say we start all the way at the top. Our overall trend is still down. And notice how even with that trend line, it's still right around that same area of our resistance. 200 EMA, our resistance line right there. Another trend line saying down. So if we can push through all of that, it'll probably come back just a little bit and then continue. That's a high possibility. Or we could just see a continuation of that downtrend and have that little Friday sell-off happen and just continue downwards. Right now, I'm just giving you guys my analysis on everything. Not getting in because I'm probably going to be hopping off pretty soon too. So but I am happy that you guys are here like every morning with me. It's very nice. I live in New Jersey. Oh, that's dope, man. Are you part of Central or like North Jersey? Because I'm part of like Central Jersey. Where is Westfield? Now I gotta Google Westfield. I feel like I've probably driven through. Oh yeah, that's by like Clark and everything. Yup, Union County. Yup. Yeah, Parkway 135. I gotta tell you, man, I am not a fan of Parkway at all. I'm a turnpike guy. Parkway just, one, too many cops. Two, the lanes are really narrow. Yeah, but I'm from the like the Brunswick area. You're looking at 87 for potential long. Yeah, I mean, if it's continuing to break through that trend, then definitely. But you can get long. But in my opinion, right, this is still under a downtrend, so it can still continue that downtrend. This could just be that pullback to continue the downtrend. So you got to be careful of that, Harry. But yeah, Johnny, the Jersey traffic is mad annoying, man. I hate dealing with it. But ever since COVID, like our traffic kind of slowed down, which it's not the best reason for it to slow down, but I'm not, but you know, I'm pretty sure you noticed that too. But yeah, man, I was a Rutgers kid, so and then whenever I used to take the train, like I'd always have to go through Union County. Yeah, local traffic's still gonna be the same way, man. Everyone's just like driving around the town doing nothing. I know a lot of people that are just driving around just to get out of the house, but it's not too bad at the moment. I feel like it was way worse a couple months back. I think it might. I think around you it's a bit more busy. Like a lot of people are like in Plainfield and have to go, like they're going to Elizabeth or anything, so there's like cutting through. How long have you been trading for, Johnny? Yeah, that's the one blessing that we got from this, that everyone can stay home and actually look at their charts for once, right? Yeah, Jersey did lose the Nets basketball team to Brooklyn. Happened a couple years back. I think like way back actually. It's been a good amount of years. When did that happen? Like 2014? I would say 2014 or 2013. That's when it happened. Yeah, that was one of like the stupidest things ever, man. I was gonna say that too. It was like we have New York Giants and the Jets, but their stadium's located in Jersey, and then we still have the hockey team, the Devils. And like we said before, that resistance level around that 3492 and that EMA, it's a good resistance point. Now we're seeing that little bounce off already. That could have been a 2-point play immediately. And then we'll see if it continues. But that's what I was talking about when I was talking about like the 200 EMA bounce, right? And it's very nice when it lines up like this. Because that's like, okay, I can get 2 points pretty quick. And Q's hitting that resistance point though as well, so that's something to pay attention to. we might continue that downtrend. But the delta is fighting it, which is interesting. But I think the minute we can break below our delta over here, or on right here, below this delta bar, we could see it continue that downtrend. So pretty much, again, we've been in that range situation, right? But kind of just trending down. But whenever it breaks out of this big range, we'll probably see like a big pump up or pump down. Whoa. We're seeing that pressure build up. Delta is struggling a little bit as well. It wants to push down. Yeah, I think in a few minutes I'm going to be hopping off the stream soon. Obviously, don't really have a trade. Don't see that many opportunities. Today I was kind of just waiting for an algo signal to pop up. Unfortunately, not much today, so but break below like the 34.8925, then we should probably see some sellers stepping in. But the only thing to also confirm that is watching the cumulative delta break below that, these two delta bars. Yeah, guys, just based on my analysis, I'm thinking it's just gonna continue that downtrend. It is struggling at the moment, and that confirmation might come the minute we break below that 34.8925. If not, then this might honestly be that trend reversal we were predicting from before, and it might continue. But again, we have those resistance points of one, the 200 EMA. We have a resistance line at 34.92, and then we have our downtrend. Candles are getting weaker. The decision making by buyers and sellers isn't clear. Again, NQ bouncing off another resistance point up here. So let's see how they do. Making that little push, but can we break through that is the real question. Delta's trying to push down again. Let's pay attention to that. Yeah, guys, so pretty much today took no trades. Today was just testing our discipline, right? Just making sure we stick to our rules. We make sure our setups come to us. If our setups don't come, we're not trading. And that's one of the hard parts about trading, just sitting patient, right? But yeah, I'm gonna hop off right now. But I really, if you guys are still gonna be trading for the rest of the day, I hope that you guys get in some profits. But other than that, hope you guys enjoy your weekend. I'll see you guys Monday. Peace out.